Let's talk this final series starting tonight between the Warriors and the Celtics. Joining me right now on the Nick Cattle Show, Sports 1140 KHDK, is my friend John Karalis from Boston Sports Journal. He also hosts the Locked On Celtics podcast. John, let me first start with this season for the Celtics. How unlikely of a run has this been for this basketball team?
Very unlikely. Very unlikely. It's as likely as me running at all. That's how unlikely a run this has been. When everybody references the same thing, 18 and 21 in January, about 5.5 months ago, they were the 11th seed. Everything looked like it was falling apart. They were mediocre. And then things started to click, and they said it would click. They said they had confidence in each other, and we saw why. We saw that finally the coach's message was getting across, that they started to kind of buy into what he was trying to get them to do. And I think, they point to that New York Knicks loss, a 25-point lead that they blew. R.J. Barrett hits a game winner, and they're like, okay, all right, we give up. We're going to stop trying to do things our way. We're going to do things your way. And since then, it's been kind of just an incredible role for them.
Now, I've watched this team an awful lot this year. You've watched every single game from this team this year. For those who haven't been as closely eyeing this team, try to explain to those people the Ime Udoka impact.
Yeah, he really has imparted his personality on these guys. He's no nonsense. He is direct, but it's not my way or the highway type of thing. He wants guys to work hard. He wants guys to be accountable. He will hold their feet to the fire, so to speak, when they make mistakes. No one is safe. He will go after the Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart in a film session, just like he will Grant Williams or Peyton Pritchard. So it's not a guy who's capitulating to his stars and, we can't talk to these guys like this. He will get up in people's faces, and he will make sure that they know that they're supposed to be doing a certain thing a certain way. But at the same time, he also treats them like adults that they are. And I think that's the one thing that people don't really get about the NBA. This isn't college where it's a man coaching basically kids, still young. They're young men, but they're still 18, 19.
Right.
These guys are in their mid-20s. They're multimillionaires. They're grown men. And they have to be treated differently. And he gets it because he played and he understands the work and the attitude. So he gives them the push, but he gives them the respect. And I think there's a good working relationship there. But it's a tough love that they needed, and he's willing to give it to them.
John Karalis from BostonSportsJournal.com, also the Locked On Celtics podcast with us here on the Nick Cattle Show on this Thursday, talking NBA Finals. All right, let's talk about this series now, John. How do you expect the Celtics to defend the Warriors? They dropped some more than I expected against Milwaukee and Miami. Will they continue to play that drop coverage, or should we expect some more switch-heavy stuff?
I think it's going to be much more switching. You play drop against Milwaukee because you didn't care about their shooters.
Right.
You wanted to protect the rim against Giannis, just like you wanted to protect the rim in the Miami series against Jimmy Butler, and you wanted to kind of draw those guys into maybe some mid-range shots. I don't think you want to do that quite as much with the Warriors. I think you want to be switching a lot more, and what you do is you sag off of Draymond Green. And, you put Robert Williams on Draymond Green. If Robert Williams is anything close to his normal self, he sags off and kind of protects the rim that way. You get an extra person. And, hey, if Draymond hits a 3 or 2, then so what? He's not going to do that all series long. And then if you can do that, then you can stay home on the shooters, right? You chase guys over the top of a screen. You send them into the teeth of the bigs that you have there, Robert Williams and Al Horford. And then the rest of the guys stay home on the shooters because it's going to be the assists that kill the Celtics. If Golden State has 25 or 30 assists, they're going to win by 20. But if the Celtics can limit that and keep those assists to 20 or less, then they have a chance to kind of hang offensively. So stay home on those shooters so you don't get those driving kicks.
John, of course, we can sit here and talk about the schematics all day, but we've got to look at Rob Williams. Can that defense do enough if Williams looks like he's looked lately?
That's going to be tough. And that's why I think the extra few days have been pretty good for him. It would have been better if they had closed the deal in 6 games rather than 7.
Yep.
But, what's done is done. But also, you have 2 days off before game 2. You have 2 days off before game 3. So, maybe he misses game 4 because that's the day where there's like 1 day between games, or maybe he's more limited in that game. But the way the schedule is laid out, it does kind of lend itself to some more effective Robert Williams. We saw when he missed the game in the Miami series, he came back and was okay. So if I'm encouraged by anything, it's that. But if he can't be even like 70, 75% of what he normally is, then they might have to make a decision there and hope that Daniel Tice can step in and be more effective. Because if Rob plays like he did in Game 7, then that's not going to work at all.
Talking Celtics side of the finals starting tonight, Celtics-Warriors. Of course, everybody's looking forward to this series with John Karalis from BostonSportsJournal.com. Also, the Locked On Celtics podcast. Nick Cattle Show, Sports 1140 KHTK. John, if Golden State doubles and or blitzes Jayson Tatum, and we saw that especially late in the game from Miami, Golden State does that. If they double or they try to just blitz Tatum more, what's the counter for the Celtics offense to answer that?
Yeah, I think, when he gives it up, there's a couple things that need to happen. The ball needs to move, first of all. When Marcus Smart gets it, if he's the guy, then what we saw against Miami was, he shot it. But that was also, they really worked the clock down, and he didn't always have the most time to go out there and find another shot. So what you need to do, first of all, when Tatum gives it up, and if it's Smart or whoever else it might be, move the ball, work your offense, and then do something for Tatum. Set a back screen, set something where he can do something to get the ball back. I mean, there are give-and-go opportunities where if the guy's coming over to set a screen and you know that they're starting to blitz, instead of waiting for the screen, just pitch it over to the guy who's coming over and then cut and get the ball back. The Celtics don't do the give-and-go very often. They don't do the backdoor cut very often. The whole point is to get the ball out of Tatum's hands. So if you do give it up, then find a way to give him the ball back so he can go out there and score. That's been something that's been a concern of mine from the beginning of the season. I go way back to the Dennis Schroeder days.
Yeah.
So I think the Celtics just need to be better at, okay, fine, he's going to draw 2, and you want them to play 4-on-3, but that doesn't mean that Tatum just stands there. Get him the ball back, and then do something to get Jaylen Brown involved too. Some sort of, if you have Smart at the top getting the double, run some action on the weak side with Horford and with Jaylen. Have one of those guys get to the rim and have one of those guys pop out and see if something can't open up behind the play.
If you're Ime Udoka, what's your biggest fear?
If I'm Ime Udoka, my biggest fear is that the Celtics aren't ready for the moment. My biggest fear, as John Karalis, is that the Warriors are too experienced, and I think the been there, done that is a big deal for me. And so, if I'm sitting there with my guys, I'm trying everything I can to say this is just basketball. It's the same dimensions on the floor. It's the same 10-foot high hoop. Go out there and just play basketball. Don't worry about all the other stuff, because younger guys have this potential to fall into the, oh my God, I turned it over to the finals, I got to make up for it. Go out there and just play your game and understand it's a long game. 48 minutes is a long time. It's a long series. You can lose game 1 and it's fine. The Celtics have lost game 1, a couple times now, and they've been fine. Just understand that it's just basketball. It's on a bigger stage, yes, and all of that, but get out there and just play your game, and you'll be okay.
Got about 30 seconds, Sean. You got a pick for us?
I'm going to say Celtics in 7. I don't say that with any real confidence at all. I just am going to lean on defense wins championships, and this Celtics defense is better than a lot of people realize. So I'm going to say that they're going to figure out how to turn the Warriors over more than the Warriors can turn Boston over. And points off turnovers, if I'm going to point at any one stat, it's going to be who wins that points off turnovers battle. I'll say that Boston can do it just a little bit better, and so I'll give them the edge and say Celtics in 7.
Name is John Karalis, BostonSportsJournal.com. You can also check him out at the Locked On Celtics podcast. John, it's been great. Haven't talked to you in a while. Great catching up, man, and safe travels.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you later, John. There goes John Karalis. And I said this earlier.